Here's the reason I don't have a warehouse for my Amazon FBA operations. So those that don't know me, we're sort of on track for 1 million this year. Hopefully, if all things go well, we're on track for 1 million, including Q4. That's for our USA and UK business. So obviously at this stage, some people would look to get their own warehouse, and obviously some friends of mine do have a warehouse, and sort of more power to them. Here's the reason that I don't. So a couple of friends of mine, Matthew Wright and Johnny Smith, the other day did, from Ecom in a Circle, actually did a video on this the other day, talking about a comparison. It was very interesting. You should go and watch that if you haven't already. They summed up the reason why I don't actually have a warehouse myself and why I use a prep center and will continue to use a prep center. So obviously, first of all, you've got the outsourcing side of things. For example, I like to travel a lot. I'm going to Greece in a few days' time. Last month, I think it was last month, I was in Spain. Month before that, Prague, and before that, I was somewhere else, Edinburgh and stuff like that. I like to go away a lot. And that's not to brag, it's just, I just like to do it. And some of the benefits you get from this business, Amex points, Capital and Tap points, pay for hotels, pay for flights and stuff like that. And also, it's just nice to go away a lot if you can. It's one of the big bonuses of running this business. Obviously, I'm aware that you can get your operations working for you, like Johnny Smith does. And I think Matthew Wright is sort of close behind him in that sense of outsourcing it all. But it takes a lot of time to get to that stage, and you've got to be at a certain scale, and I'm not sure, we're there yet. But I don't know. Anyway, apart from that, there's a lot of variable costs, that come with it. If you're shifting enough stock, then a prep center should be enough for you up till quite a big stage. Some brands that I know only use prep centers, and they're very big brands, doing way over 1 million. If you've got that fixed cost, that fixed prep fee, whether it's 50p, 60p, 70p a pound, whatever, you know that you're not going to be spending a lot on prep unless you're shifting products. It sort of works like that. But with a warehouse, for example, I think it was Matthew that said his electricity bill or whatever it was, electricity bill, I'm pretty sure it was, or his heating bill, last January was around about 300, and this year it was 1,300, 1,200, something like that. Not to mention the average wage going up from, the average wage salary that you have to pay the people. Even minimum wage has gone up something crazy now, like £12 or something, when it was like £9 or something a couple of years ago. And then not to mention little things like Amazon seller fees, which I know are still, relevant for if you've got a prep center as well. But all this stuff is sort of gnawing away at your profits. You've got to cover sick pay, you've got to do holiday pay, you've got to do pensions, pay into pensions, all of this stuff. If you want to outsource it, managers and stuff, your prep fees going up and up and up. So I'm just not convinced. Until you're at a really big scale. Obviously there's a time where you'll have to get operations, you'll have to get a warehouse if you want to scale like I do. I want to be a very well-known international brand, a gifting brand. That's my goal, and I'm sort of not willing to settle until I'm at that stage. So I understand that one day we will have to do it, but I won't be doing that until it absolutely makes sense, until it's absolutely inevitable we have to do it. Because it's a variable cost that can vary a lot depending on rent, depending on the cost of the warehouse in general. You've got business rates, etc. And until you're at that stage, I think it's just a smarter thing to do to have that fixed variable cost, which means that if you're prepping more, you spend more, but you're selling more. If you sell more, your prep bill's higher, but you've sold more to cover it, as a general rule.
Hey guys, me again. Just a quick interruption just to tell you that Sellable is sponsoring this video, and there's a 2-month free trial to Sellable, which I've been using for years now, which is a Amazon seller and Shopify seller, etc. profit dashboard, which gives you your monthly profits, etc. I've been using it for a long time. As I say, also gives you the ability to get your refunds, your reimbursements that are owed to you from Amazon back, and we get hundreds of pounds a week back by using Sellable and sending them reports off. So as I say, get the 2-month free trial and check it out because it is an awesome bit of kit. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
That's why I don't have one. I think you have to be at a certain scale. I really do, for it to make sense. Otherwise, it's just a lot of bother. You've got to look after staff members, etc., etc. Now, guys, my thoughts on this may change in the future. And as I said, I'm not against having a warehouse. I just think a lot of people want one as sort of an ego rub, you know, because it looks good rather than actually needing it. You know, I'm not convinced that some sellers are actually saving much money at all once you've, you know, once you've taken into account everything, you know, and some sellers probably aren't saving any money. They just like the idea of having it, you know, the operations in-house. So that's why I don't have it. Now, obviously, there's other areas to look at, like, for example, if you had the ability to buy a property, so, you know, your investment in that property, your equity is actually going up over time. That's a different story altogether. I'm talking about living in an area where it's high, where the rent cost is high, staff costing, etc., and you're actually renting a property. That's what I'm talking about here. Obviously, buying a property is a little bit different because you've got that sort of asset as well in the business, which could be going up in price. So yeah, that's why I don't use a prep centre, and yeah, I probably wouldn't advise it unless you were doing some really significant numbers or it just made sense to you. As I say, we might do it in the near future in terms, you know, when we've scaled up a bit more. We're just launching our Shopify store at the moment. Yeah, so, but at the moment, definitely not. It doesn't make sense. So I'll see you in the next video.